If you're about to start advertising your dance studio, then you want to pay attention here to this video for the next few minutes because I am going to share with you a tip that is going to help you save a lot of money and it's going to help you make your results way better. My name is Hervin Alvarez. We own a company called Get More Students where we help dance studio owners with increasing enrollment, reducing workload, saving time, and we do that through the use of automation and marketing. Right now, we're currently helping over 200 dance studio owners do all those things. And so if you're a dance studio owner looking to grow your studio, then subscribe to this YouTube channel because I share with you the latest strategies, tips, best practices, anything that I learned that I think could be helpful. I share it here. So again, if you're a studio owner looking to grow, subscribe to the channel. So if you're about to start advertising your studio, or if you've already been advertising your dance studio, what I want to share with you is a tip that is going to help you save money, save a lot of money, and then also improve your results. So, and I'll share with you this story. So back when we had our studio and we started advertising our studio on Facebook advertising, what we noticed is that we started generating a lot of new inquiries, people who were interested in our studio. They would see our advertising, they would go to our website, they would fill out a form where they would give us their name, phone number, and email. And then from there, sometimes I would try to call them, I would try to email them, and it was me doing that manually. And so what I noticed is I was barely making more money that I had invested in the ads. I was barely breaking even on what's called my ad budget, my ad spend. And so if I was spending, $100 on Facebook ads, I was making like 120 or 110. And so I didn't know why that was happening. I thought advertising was the answer. I had seen other people advertise. I have a bunch of business coaches. I had a lot of mentors who told me hey, you need to advertise your business if you want to get more people. So, I thought back when I set up the advertising campaigns, I thought well, this is it. I'm going to start generating a lot more students and people are just going to walk in and life is going to be good. And that didn't end up happening. We turned on the advertising. We started generating a lot of new inquiries. But not many people started walking into our studio, and I didn't understand why that was. And so eventually, again, one of my business coaches said hey, you need to follow up with everybody within 1 minute of them inquiring. And I was like, oh my God, is seriously, why that fast? And they're like, well, think about it. If somebody's inquiring, when are they most excited? When the moment they inquire, or an hour later, or a day later? And, obviously they're most excited when they inquire. And so he's like, of course. So you got to follow up with them while they're thinking about it, while they're excited. And the other thing is if you catch them that fast, they probably still have their phone in their hands. Everybody's they go on Facebook, Instagram, where they see your ads, they're on their phones. And so if you call them then, if you get in contact with them so quickly, you're going to be able to get a hold of them because they have their phone in their hands. And so I'm okay, that makes sense. So I had created this, little automation that anytime somebody would inquire about our classes, it would shoot me a message with that person's name and phone number, and I would call them. And so that's what I started doing. I would call them, ask them, what made them inquire, why they're interested in dance, and then eventually I would ask them to show up for a trial class at our studio. And it started to work. It was better, but still, it felt this a lot of work. It felt like I was putting in all this work. Sometimes, I was about to go to sleep, a new lead would come in and I would call them, or, I would be getting off the studio, it would be 11 p.m. at night, 12 a.m., and a new lead would come in and I would call them like a crazy person, or I was about to go to the bathroom and I would call still. I would be oh, but, I got to hold it because I got to call this lead. And so this is where it started to become a lot of manual work. And so Well, first, the first tip that I had that you should take away from this is that you got to follow up with people quickly. But then the next step, which is the next thing that happened, is that I discovered automation, and it was a long journey for me to figure out like how to use automation for a dance studio. There's a lot of automation softwares out there that can help you set up, like, so whenever a new lead would come in, it'll send them a text message, it will send them an email. By the way, if you're curious, we use our own, we have Studio Hub, and if you're curious to learn more about it, you can definitely go to getmorestudents.com, book a call with us, and we'll show it to you, and we'll tell you about how it could help your studio if you're somebody who's interested in that. But in any case, you can also figure out how to set it up yourself. I had set up these automations to now follow up with people. That's when things started taking off for us, because now leads weren't falling through the cracks. I remember when I was calling people manually, if they were coming in for a trial, I would have to be the one to remember, like, who was that person that called, which class did they want to come in for, what day did they want to come in, at what time. So then I would call them before, and I would ask them, hey, are you still coming? And so that, it works when you're able to remember to do that. But when you get too busy or when you forget, then those leads fall through the cracks, and then you end up losing all the money that you spend in the first place to advertise to try and get that person. And so that's why I said, like, this is going to help you save a lot of money. If you're advertising and you don't have a follow-up system in place, and I say system because it's not just like you're going to manually call every single lead, or you have an employee who's going to be following up with every single lead. You need a machine to help you do this, because the machines are not going to be, they're going to work 24/7 for you. And so that's what I ended up building. And it took me, like 6 months to figure this out for our studio. But once we did that, once we implemented this machine that was following up with every single lead, if somebody for whatever reason started to ghost us and they didn't respond, it would follow up with them for 5 days. If they said that they wanted to come in for a trial, it would follow up with them the day before the trial, the morning of the trial, 1 hour before the trial, to try and get them to show up. And that started to work for us. And so, yeah, that's the biggest tip that I have for you. If you're advertising your studio, definitely have a system in place for your follow-up. And I'll share with you, like, one of the studio owners, one of the first studio owners that we started helping when we first started doing this, she had been working with another marketing company prior to working with us, and her enrollment was pretty good. I mean, she was somewhere around like 280 or 250 around their students. The most amount of students she had in the previous 6 years was 280 students. She had never gotten, in the past 6 years, she had never gotten to 300 students. And even though she was advertising and she was following up with everybody, and she was really good at follow-up, and so when we took her on board, and we set up all these follow-up processes for her, where she was no longer needing to be the one following up manually with everybody, her enrollment all of a sudden went from 250 to 300, and then, like, she just exploded, and she went all the way up to like 700 students, like 600, 700 students around there. And it was all because we had now implemented a follow-up system to follow up with all those new people who inquired. Super, super important. And you could see there how much money she was losing by not having this in place. Excuse me. So again, if you're somebody who's currently advertising your studio, or you're somebody who wants to advertise your studio, the most important thing about the advertising isn't even the advertising itself, is what happens after people see your ad and they click and they give you their information. You want to follow up with them. And so anyway, with that said, if you're interested in checking out a system that can help you do that for your studio, go to getmorestudents.com, book a call there, or you can figure it out yourself. There's a few softwares, like Keep is a software, Keep by Infusionsoft, Active Campaign, Podium. There's a lot of there's a lot of softwares out there that can help you set up automations for yourself. You know, when it comes to us, what we have figured out is that, I mean, when it comes to us, and why people work with us is because we have figured this out already, and we've improved this automation system for the last 2 years. And so it just works. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to guess. It's already built. It's already done. It's a formula that works. And so if you want this for your studio, again, getmorestudents.com and go check it out. All right. So with that said, definitely, like, again, if you're somebody who's looking into advertising, or you're already advertising but you don't have this in place, go put it in place. Go figure this out, because it's going to make a huge difference for your studio. If you've enjoyed this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go check out other videos inside our channel, because I mean, I share with you even more tips about automation, more tips about how to advertise, how to market your studio, how to increase enrollment, how, like, just overall anything that I can think of that is going to be helpful for you all studio owners. I'm sharing it over here. So again, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.